Have you ever noticed how everyone seems to have advice these days? You open social media, and within minutes, somebody is telling you what needs to change. Your house needs decluttering, your habits need improving, your diet needs fixing, your routine needs an overhaul, and almost every piece of advice comes with a link attached to it. Buy this, download that, join this challenge, follow this system. Sometimes I find myself wondering, when did we stop being allowed to enjoy the lives we already have? Because what if your home isn't broken? What if your life isn't a project that needs constant improvement? What if you don't need another planner, another course, another checklist, or another expert telling you what to fix next? And what if you're already living a life worth appreciating right now? I think many of us have spent years believing that contentment is waiting somewhere in the future. We'll be happy when the house looks better. We'll be happy when we lose the weight. We'll be happy when we have more money. We'll be happier when life settles down. But what if that day never comes? What if we've been walking past today's blessings because we've been so focused on tomorrow's improvements? I think one of the greatest thieves of contentment is the belief that happiness is always waiting somewhere ahead of us. We tell ourselves things like, I'll enjoy my home when I finally get it fixed up. I'll feel better about myself when I lose the weight. I'll be content when I have a little more money in the bank. I'll relax when life settles down. The problem is, that life rarely stays settled for very long. There's always another bill to pay. There's always another repair to make, another challenge to face, another thing that doesn't go according to plan. If we keep waiting for everything to be just right before we allow ourselves to be happy, we may spend years chasing a finish line that keeps moving further away. I know this because I've done it myself. There were seasons in my life when I believed that peace was waiting for me somewhere in the future. I thought if certain circumstances changed, then everything would finally feel better. But over time, I began to realize that some of the most meaningful moments in life were happening right in the middle of the imperfect days. Not on the days when everything went smoothly, and not on the days when the house looked perfect, or when every problem was solved. The meaningful moments were often found in the ordinary places. A cup of coffee in the morning before anybody else wakes up. Fresh bread pulled right out of the oven. A quiet conversation with somebody that I love. The comfort of being home. The sound of rain against the window. Simple things that are easy to overlook when we're constantly focused on what still needs fixing. I'm not saying we should never improve anything. Of course there's things worth working on. But I think we've forgotten that gratitude and growth can exist at the same time. You can have goals and still appreciate where you are. You can work towards something better without convincing yourself that today's life is somehow not enough. You don't have to choose between making improvements and being content. Sometimes the greatest change we can make is learning to see the value in what we already have. I watched a video the other day where a husband told his wife she should go put on her makeup before they film the next scene. She asked him why, and he said, "Isn't that what YouTubers do?" I had to laugh because in the very next scene, they were both wearing sunglasses. Nobody was going to see her makeup anyway. But it got me thinking about how much pressure there is today to constantly improve everything, not just our homes or our diets or our routines, even our faces. Sometimes it feels like we're being told that everything has to be upgraded, polished, and perfected before it's good enough. Maybe that's one reason so many people feel tired and exhausted. We're constantly trying to become a better version of ourselves while overlooking the value of who we already are. I laughed when I watched that video, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized how common that mindset has become. Somewhere along the way, many of us started believing that everything needs improving. Not because anything is necessarily wrong, and not because we're unhappy, because our lives are falling apart, but because we've been surrounded by messages telling us that there is always a better version of everything. A better house, routine, a better diet, wardrobe, body, a better way to spend our time, to organize our homes, a better way to live. And if we're not careful, we start looking at our own lives through that same lens. Instead of seeing what is good, we start seeing what is missing. Instead of noticing what is working, we start to focus on what still needs improvement. And instead of appreciating what we have, we become preoccupied with what we do not have. I think that is one of the reasons so many people feel restless today. And not because their lives are bad, or because they have nothing to be grateful for, but because they're constantly being encouraged to look for the next thing that needs fixing. When I was younger, I spent a lot of time believing that peace was waiting somewhere ahead of me. I thought certain things had to happen before I could finally relax and enjoy my life. I thought I needed more security. Thought I needed certain problems to just disappear. And I thought I needed answers to questions that had not yet been answered. In my mind, contentment was always just over the next hill. The problem was that every time I reached one goal, another one appeared. And every time one challenge ended, another challenge began. Life kept moving. The future I was waiting for, it never seemed to arrive. Maybe you've experienced that too. Maybe you've told yourself that you'd be happy when the house is all finished, the bills are all paid off, when the relationship improves, when you finally lose that weight, and when life gets easier, and when things finally calm down. But what if we've been asking the wrong question? What if the question isn't, what still needs to change? What if the question is, what is already good? What if there are blessings sitting right in front of us that we've stopped noticing because we've become just so focused on improvement? Because the truth is, most of life, it's not lived in the big milestones. Most of life happens on just an ordinary day. It happens while we fold laundry, wash dishes, sit on the porch. It happens while sharing a meal with our family around the table. Happens during quiet moments that will never make headlines and probably never be posted on social media. In those moments, they often become the memories that we treasure most. And the more I think about it, the more I believe that many of us are spending our lives standing in a doorway. One foot in today, one foot in tomorrow, always looking ahead to the next improvement, the next accomplishment, the next thing that will finally make everything feel complete. And we convince ourselves that contentment is coming, just not yet. Maybe after we save a little more money, or after we finish the projects around the house. Maybe after the kids are settled, or after retirement, after life becomes a little easier. The trouble with that way of thinking is that it teaches us to postpone joy. It teaches us to overlook today's blessings because we're so focused on tomorrow's possibilities. And before we know it, years have gone by. Not because we were unhappy, not because we had terrible lives, but because we kept waiting for permission to enjoy them. I've come to believe that contentment is not something we arrive at one day when all our problems disappear. And I think one of the reasons this message is so difficult to accept is because we've been taught that contentment and ambition, they just can't exist together. Almost as if being content means you've given up. As if appreciating your life means you no longer have goals. It's as if gratitude somehow makes a person lazy, but I do not believe that is true at all. Some of the most grateful people I know are also some of the hardest working people I know. They still have dreams, plans, they still learn new things, and they're still working toward their goals. The difference is that they are not putting their happiness on hold until they get there. They learn to appreciate the journey while they're still walking in it. I think that's something many of us have forgotten. We've become so focused on the destination, we barely notice where we are standing. Think about it. We rush through ordinary days because we're waiting for extraordinary ones. We overlook the blessings we prayed for years ago because we've become focused on the things that we still want. Have you ever noticed how quickly we adjust to answered prayers? The things that once seemed so important eventually become ordinary. The house we hope for, it becomes the house that needs repairs. The job we wanted becomes the job that dread. It's just we dread going every single day, and it just frustrates us. The quiet evening we long for, it becomes just another night at home. The ordinary blessings of life have a way of fading into the background if we're not careful. And that's why I think gratitude requires intention, not because life's perfect, or because every day is easy, or because there's no problems to solve, but because there's always something good sitting alongside the difficulties. There's always something worth noticing: a warm meal, a warm, comfortable bed, a video call from a friend, a pet curled up in your lap, a quiet morning before the rest of the world wakes up. Little things, just the ordinary things, the kinds of things that rarely make exciting social media content, but often make up the best parts of a life. You know, the older I get, the more I appreciate those moments. Not because my life's perfect, and definitely not because all my problems have disappeared. They haven't. But because I've learned that peace is usually found in ordinary places. It's not hiding in the next purchase. It's not waiting inside another course, another planner, or another challenge, or even another system. More often than not, peace is sitting right where you've been overlooking it all along. And sometimes all it takes to find it is slowing down long enough to see what's been there the entire time. I think another reason so many people struggle with contentment is because we've quietly started measuring our lives against everybody else's. Not on purpose. Sometimes that happens so slowly, we don't even realize that we're doing it. We'll sit down for a few minutes, open up our phone, and then suddenly we're looking into hundreds of other people's homes. We see their spotless kitchen, their beautiful decorated living room, their organized closets and remodeled bathrooms, their vacations, accomplishments, before and after transformations. And if we're not careful, we start comparing our everyday lives to someone else's that just isn't real. I've done it. Most people have. You look around your own home, and suddenly things that never bothered you before, they all start standing out. The worn carpet, outdated cabinets, the unfinished project you've been meaning to get to for years. I know what that feels like. Our siding, it's half gone. We only have the half the trailer is done. The rest of it, it's waiting for another day because we just can't afford the rest of it. So it's half done, half not. And then when I look at all these beautiful homes on social media, and I look at my half-finished siding, and sometimes it just really gets to me. The little imperfections that were invisible until you started comparing them to someone else's picture-perfect life. The truth is, every home has imperfections. Every family has struggles. And everybody has disappointments. We just don't see those parts very often. What we usually see is the polished version, the best angle, the perfectly clean room, the chosen photographs that are just perfect, the finished result. And there's nothing wrong with that. But problems begin when we forget that we're seeing only a small piece of the story. I look around my own home, there's plenty of things that are not perfect. Lots of projects that still need to be done. There are things I would change if money were no object. Repairs I would love to have finished tomorrow. But you know what? This home has sheltered me through difficult seasons. It's held countless meals around the table. It's been a place of laughter, tears, prayers, and everyday life. And when I think about it that way, I start to realize that the value of a home, it has very little to do with whether it looks like a magazine layout. A home is not valuable because it impresses people. It's valuable because of the life lived inside it. Same thing is true for our lives. Our lives aren't valuable because they look impressive from the outside. Our lives are valuable because of the people we love and the lessons we've learned, challenges we've survived, and the memories that we've made along the way. Maybe that's something we all need to remember more often, because the goal was never to build a life that impresses strangers. The goal was to build a life that feels meaningful to the people living in it. And those are two very different things. I sometimes wonder what would happen if we stopped asking ourselves what needs to be fixed and started asking ourselves what is already enough, just for a moment. What if we looked around our homes and instead of seeing a list of unfinished projects, we saw evidence of a life being lived? What if we stopped focusing on the chip paint and noticed the family dinners around the table? If we stopped worrying about whether our furniture matched and started appreciating the comfort it provides? What if we stopped apologizing for what our homes are not and started being thankful for what they are? Because at the end of the day, most people, they're not searching for perfection. They're searching for peace. And those are just not the same thing. I've never walked into someone's home and thought, I hope they have the latest decorating trends. I've never left someone's house remembering how perfectly organized their pantry was. What I remember is how they made me feel. I remember the laughter, the conversations, whether there was warmth in the home. Those are the things that stay with us. And then somewhere along the way, we've been convinced that the secret to happiness is hidden in one more improvement, one more purchase, one more project. And for some people, that search, it just never ends. The goalpost keeps on moving. That is why I believe contentment has to be a decision, not a destination, a decision. Because if contentment depends on everything finally being perfect, most of us we're going to spend our entire lives waiting. Life has a way of staying beautifully unfinished. The question is whether we're going to spend all of our time staring at what is missing, or whether we're going to enjoy what is already here. Time feels different than it once did. I'm more aware that these ordinary days are not endless, and the simple moments that seem so routine today, they're going to eventually become memories. And I don't want to spend those moments wishing my life looked differently. I do not want to miss today's blessings because I'm too busy chasing tomorrow's improvements. I want to appreciate the people I love while they're still here. I want to be grateful for the home that shelters me, even if it isn't perfect. Because one day, I may look back and I'm going to realize that these were the good old days all along. The goal isn't to arrive at a perfect life. The goal is to learn how to appreciate an imperfect one. Because this is the life we're living right now. Not the life we hope to have someday. This one. The ordinary day. The dishes in the sink. The laundry that needs folding. The cup of coffee growing cold beside us. The video call with a friend. The walk through the neighborhood. And the quiet evening at home. These moments may seem ordinary while we're living them, but one day they'll become the memories that we're going to miss. And that's why I think contentment matters so much. Not because it makes life perfect, but because it allows us to enjoy life while it's still happening. Instead of constantly reaching for the next thing, we learn to hold on to the beauty of what is already here. And in a world that is always telling us what needs to change, maybe that is one of the most rebellious things that we can do. To look around at an imperfect life and say, this is enough for today. And then actually believe it.